In this video, I stopped my stomach rumbling with a fried egg roll. I get a surprise.
Oh wow, wasn't expecting that.
And I make a nice cup of tea. It's Da Vinci time. So further to our previous video on the Explorer 240, in this video we're going to be taking our first look at the Explorer 500 and the SolarSaga 100W panel. So if you haven't seen our previous video, it's currently being suggested in the top corner right now, and it might be worth taking a look as there are going to be lots of references between the 500 and the 240 throughout this video. So just for clarity, Jackery aren't sponsoring this video, but they did send out the unit and the solar panel for us to do this review, so thanks to them for that. Anyway, enough chat, let's go. So as with the Explorer 240 in the previous video, this is what you get in the box for the 500. So over here we have a little social media card. We have the Jackery warranty card here that explains the process. We also have the user manual right here, and then we have the little pouch of cables to get you going. So first up we have in here is a 12-volt cigarette lighter output here to a DC input here, which plugs straight into the unit. And the other bit we have in here is the AC power brick. So this has a UK plug socket one end, and then the DC output there. So you can charge from the mains, and again, that just plugs straight in there. So that's what you get in the box. So when it comes to the solar panel itself, this is what you get in the box. I've just put a couple of pictures up on screen now to show you how it actually comes packaged. So you get your social media card here, you've got your warranty card as you get with the other units here, and you get this handy user guide giving you sort of like the do's and don'ts and technical specifications. But that's what you get in the box with the solar panel. Time for a quick look around the unit now. So let's start up here with the inputs. So this is the only port you can use to charge this unit. So you can charge from mains, from solar, or from a 12-volt output like you get in a vehicle. This button here wakes up the display. So if you're not using any other part of this, that stays awake for about 15 seconds and goes to sleep to conserve energy. So over here we have our DC output. So this is a cigarette lighter output here, 12 volts and 10 amps. This is regulated, but I'll cover that later on in the video. We also have additional 2 DC outputs there, and you can switch them on and off using the button right there. So in the middle we have 3 USB ports here. These are standard ports at 5 volts and 2.4 amps a piece. And again, you can switch them on and off using the button there. So over here we have our main AC output. So this is a pure sine wave inverter in here, which is good for up to 500 watts continuous and 230 volts. And again, this is great for sensitive electronics because it's pure sine wave. So let's have a look around the side here. So we have a vent here for cooling, and nothing much to talk about on the back. And this side here, we have another vent for cooling, and we have a little light here. So you switch it on by using this, and you can use the SOS feature. So it flashes SOS by just holding the button down for a little longer than just switching it on and off. So there we have it, a quick look round. Right, time for a quick look around the 100-watt panel itself now. So we start off with this pouch here. So this is where your connections are. So let's open that up. That's actually quite handy as well because you can store other cables in there, USB cables, etc. when you're out and about. So first up and most obvious is the cable that comes directly out the panel, and this goes straight into your Jackery unit. No messing about, no additional connectors required. Obviously once you've opened the panel up, it will start charging. So over here we've got some additional ports. So the first up here is a USB-C output, good for up to 15 watts. We have an LED indicator light there, and a standard USB port which is good for 5 volts and 2.4 amps output. So let's plug that back up. And then what else have we got? So let's flip that round. So this side we have one of 2 kickstands. So this kickstand is really handy because what it has is it has this sort of bracing element here, which when you're outside actually keeps this really rigid on the floor. So that's that side. So let's flip that over. So you should have another one, which we have done. So again, another kickstand there, again, sort of elastic, and that keeps the foot in the right place and actually keeps it at a good angle towards the sun. So I'm just going to put up a picture on screen now showing what this is like outside and opened up. And that concludes our quick look around the panel. when it comes to charging this unit using the mains, you get a power brick as you would expect. But this one here is actually an uprated version over the one that you get with the Explorer 240. I'm hoping that's visible on screen, but you get up to 90 watts output from this, which is made up of 24 volts at 3.75 amps. So let's plug it into the unit now and see what we actually get. Okay, let's let that wake up. And there we have it. So we have an input of 86 watts. So I'm just putting something up on screen from the manual now to give you an estimated time to charge this unit. So that's charging from the mains covered. When it comes to charging your unit while you're on the move, say for example in your vehicle, you already get the cigarette lighter output cable included. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to test it with this battery that I've got hooked up next to me. So this is currently giving 13.3 volts on screen, so knock off 0.1 for accuracy, so about 13.2 volts at this particular socket. So let's plug this in now and see what we get on the unit itself. That's in there, let's move that across there, and let's plug that in and see what we get. Oh wow, wasn't expecting that. That's giving us 81 watts. So I need to check that cable because that's a lot more than I was expecting. So I'm just going to swap over now and use a standard cable just to see, because that should be a lot lower than that. Around the 40s it should be for normal 12 volt cigarette lighter output. Okay, so I've got my standard cigarette lighter cable here, so we can test this whole 12 volt charging thing to see whether it is the unit or actually the cable. So I've still got 13.3 volts here at this, so 13.2 at this socket. So this is a standard cigarette lighter cable, so one end and then to a DC 5521 the other end. And this is just a K adapter to turn it into something that we can plug into here. And I cover more of that in the previous Explorer 240 video if you want to see more on that. So let's plug it in now and see what we get. And see whether this is actually down to the cable or the unit itself. And there we have it. 79 watts. So it looks like the unit itself boosts it up. So that's the most wattage I've seen on any 12 volt output on anything I've ever tested. So that's brilliant. So when it comes to charging the Explorer 500 using the 100 watt panel, it really is as simple as just opening up the connection pouch, taking the lead and plugging it straight into the inputs, and obviously opening up the panel and pointing it directly at the sun. It's that easy. And one other thing that's impressed me about this panel so far, and I've not had it for very long, is the fact that it actually delivered its full rating of 100 watts input into the Jackery. So I'm just putting up a picture on screen at the moment that just shows you that. Now that was in perfect conditions, I had the perfect angle and it was a cool day. So in general terms I've been getting between 70 and 80 watts and the weather's not been that great since I've had this, so I haven't gone beyond that as it stands at the moment, but it did deliver its full 100 watts when I tested it. So if you're not planning on using this particular combination to charge your 500 using solar, then you can use other methods which are covered in the previous video for the Explorer 240. So before we go any further, I just wanted to show you how these actual ports work outside and another way that you can use the solar panel here to not only charge a unit but also charge a power bank as well. So I'm just going to show you that now. So the great thing about this is you can actually charge your main unit up, but also from the back of the panel you can plug in your USB-C to charge a power bank as well to use later on. So 2 for 1. When it comes to powering your 12 volt devices using the 500, I'm really pleased to say that these ports here have a regulated output, meaning that each of these ports will stay around the same voltage no matter how much charge you have in the battery. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's plug this in here, switch on the DC, and that's currently saying 13.6 volts, which is about 13.5 adjusting for accuracy. And that's at a level which is 89% state of charge. So I'm just going to put up a picture now showing you what it is at 0% state of charge, and you'll see that the voltages are similar. So this is of particular interest if you have 12 volt devices that need to remain above 12 volts, like cool boxes for example, because I know if my cool box drops below 12 volts, it switches off. So in this particular unit, like the Explorer 240, you can use all of the battery charge, which is great. So much like the 240, the 500 doesn't come with any USB-C outputs. It just comes with standard USB ports right on the front here. So that's fine with certain devices that you can just charge using a standard cable like this, which has got a USB one end and a USB-C the other end. So you just plug this in here and then you can plug that into your device and get about 12 watts worth of charging out of this. But what happens if you want and need USB-C PD? So as covered in the previous video for the Explorer 240, you can get yourself one of these. And what this does is it plugs straight into the cigarette lighter output there. And then once you've switched that on, it actually provides you PD or power delivery output here. So this is the 60 watt version. And this one here provides 90 watts. So you can run your laptops or devices that need power delivery input. So that's an easy way to fix that and actually still get what you need out of the unit. So one of the tips I provided in the last video for the Explorer 240 was to use this not only for providing an output from the Jackery, but also then using it from a vehicle to also charge it via the input port here. But unfortunately this 60 watt version doesn't seem to work well with this boosted port here. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's plug that in there. So we've got a little blue light there from the battery. Let's plug that in there. So let's plug this cable in here as if we were going to charge it as if we were on the 240. And what you'll see is it just keeps flashing the light up here, but doesn't actually start charging, which is a shame. So it doesn't look like this boosted port works with this 60 watt version. So I'm going to try it out on the 90 watt version now. Right, the 90 watt version is now plugged in, ready to go. So let's plug that in there and let's put that in the input. Let's see if that one works. And it does, 71 watts. So although the 60 watt version doesn't work, the 90 watt gives you 71 watts on here. So this might be the better option if you want to run PD from the 12 volt output here and also still have the ability to charge on this boosted port from a 12 volt outlet. But again, the standard cigarette lighter output with this boosted port will give you closer to 80 watts, so that is the better option for this. So a frequently asked question I get when it comes to these units is, can it do pass-through charging, or can you use this while you're also charging it? So I've just got my cool box set up here as the same one I used in the Explorer 240 video. So I'm just going to show you how it works on this if you're like travelling in a vehicle and you want to run your cool box but also keep it plugged into your 12 volt cigarette lighter output to make sure that you're topping the battery up. Now the best way to do this, or I've found with this particular model, because it has this boost facility on the input here, so it's actually better to charge directly using a cigarette lighter cable than actually a USB-C PD charger that I've showed before. So I'm going to switch this on now. So as you'll hear, that's whirring up now, so that's my cool box whirring up. So that's actually using, what is it, 64, 65 watts. So I'm just going to plug this in now as if I was plugging it into my car. So I'm going to plug the cigarette lighter in here. And then I'm going to plug this into the input and then see what we get. So look at that. So we're getting 79 watts in and about 61 watts going out. So in actual fact, this isn't only running the cool box, it's also topping up the battery as well. And this is the best way that I've found with this 500 to actually do this. So you can actually still use the other ports on here as well while you're charging it. So pass-through charging, check. Right, time for a spot of lunch now. So I'm going to attempt something I've not done before on a portable power station of this size, as in the fact the Jackery has a 500 watt inverter. So I'm going to use this 800 watt induction hob here, which does have different heat settings, so you can actually turn the wattage down. So I'm going to give it a go on setting 2, just to see if it can generate enough heat to fry an egg for my fried egg roll. So let's switch on. You hear various fans kicking in now. So we're sitting at 92% of the battery, so I'm going to switch it on now. Switch that on. Press the plus button and then go down to setting 2. So this might take a while to warm up, so I'll fast forward this bit. So as you can see on here, it keeps pulsing up now as it's heating up the pan. So if I'd have let it heat up for about 5 minutes, it would have actually sealed the egg better and actually cooked a better roll. But there you have it, a fried egg roll. Time for a cuppa now, and I'm going to use my trusty 500 watt kettle here. I've had this for quite a while now and it just keeps working, and it's really good with solar power because of its low wattage. And it comes with a plug just like this, and this is similar to the ones that you get in New Zealand, Australia and China. So what I did was I just got one of these little adapters here. I've put a 3 amp fuse in because that's all you really need for this. And it literally just plugs in like that. I mean, again, you can cut this off if you wanted to put a UK plug on, but this works really well for me. And I've actually been using it like this since I got this kettle. So I'm going to plug this in now, boil the kettle. I've got just enough for just over a cup's worth in there because, again, the more that you use energy-wise to boil the water that you're not going to use is obviously going to drain the battery quicker. So let's plug in and get it going. And the fan's now on. And you can hear the fan coming in again now, so the kettle is on. Just see what that's pulling now. So it's pulling around what it usually pulls, the 470 odds now. So let's leave that to boil. One cup of tea. I'm off to enjoy it now. So first up, it has to be the solar panel. It's a doddle to set up and take down, and it has decent kickstands so it keeps it stable even when it's windy. So next up, it has to be the boosted input for 12 volt charging. It's the best I've seen with a standard cigarette lighter cable, so it's even better for when you're charging on the move. And finally, it has to be the 500 watt continuous pure sine wave inverter. It enables you to run more power hungry devices and also covers the sensitive electronics angle. So first up, it has to be the solar panel cable. So what is a decent solar panel that you might want to connect to something other than a Jackery just becomes more difficult with using the 8mm connector. So next up, and as with the Explorer 240, the addition of a USB-C power delivery port on this would be a real improvement. And finally, the addition of another AC outlet. Having 2 plug sockets on a power station of this size should be standard. We hope you liked our video. All the links you'll need will be in the description below. Please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And stay tuned to Dad Vinci.